Good morning. This is Stephen Lewis again coming to you from Whitehall. Let's just jump right into this discussion. Promised freedom, persistent resistance. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 and its contested legacy. The passage of the Voting Rights Act on August 6, 1965 was not inevitable. It was extracted from a resistant political system through extraordinary sacrifice. Gary Yerke's firsthand account of traveling from Ripon College to join the Selma to Montgomery March captures the moral urgency that compelled ordinary Americans to place themselves in danger alongside black Southerners demanding the most basic democratic right. The beatings on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, the death of Reverend James Reeb, and the disciplined courage of thousands who marched under the threat of Klan violence forced Congress and President Johnson to act. The resulting legislation suspended literacy tests, established federal oversight of elections in covered jurisdictions, and triggered a dramatic surge in black voter registration across the South. Yet the history that followed demonstrates that the achievement at Selma, however monumental, was neither final nor irreversible. Masataka Harada's quantitative study of county level fiscal data reveals that Southern segregationist governments responded to the VRA with calculated economic strategy rather than compliance, anticipating that newly enfranchised black voters would shift policy priorities toward redistributive spending. VRA covered counties with large per capita budgets, significantly increased long term debt issuance, education expenditures, and highway spending during the transitional period immediately after 1965. Harada's evidence points to the construction of all white suburban schools as escape hatches, investments designed to serve white constituents while burdening future minority led governments with binding debt obligations. The strategic use of fiscal policy represents an underappreciated dimension of white resistance, one that operated through bureaucratic and financial mechanisms rather than overt violence. More troubling still are the findings of Nicholas Eubank and Adrian Fresh, who examined state level prison admission data by race from roughly 1940 to 1985. Using a difference in differences research design, they demonstrate that states covered by Section 5 of the VRA experienced a differential increase in black prison admissions relative to uncovered states after 1965. An increase that scaled in proportion to the electoral threat posed by black voters. Their analysis is consistent with Michelle Alexander's new Jim Crow thesis, suggesting that white political elites responded to black enfranchisement by expanding the carousel apparatus as a substantive mechanism of racial and political control. The right to vote, it turned out, could be effectively neutralized through felony disenfranchisement laws applied by a racially biased criminal justice system. The long term arc of VRA erosion finds its most recent chapter in Shelby County v. Holder 2013, in which the Supreme Court validated the Section 4B coverage formula and effectively disabled Section 5's preclearance requirement. Dewey Clayton and Maya Todd's analysis of Census Bureau data turned out data from the 2012, 2016, and 2020 presidential elections documents the consequences with sobering precision. Black voter turnout in formerly covered southern states stood at 71% in 2012, exceeding white turnout, but fell to 64.3% in 2016 and 61.5% in 2020 as formerly covered states moved swiftly to implement strict voter ID laws, conduct voter roll purges, and restrict early voting. The racial turnout gap with the VRA and spent decades narrowing has reversed and widened to nearly 6 percentage points in whites' favor. Read together, these four sources narrate a history of adaptive resistance, the courage of Selma's marchers, and of students like those from Ripon College who traveled south to stand with them, forced transformative legislation. Segregationist governments immediately sought physical workarounds. The carousel state expanded an instrument of disenfranchisement by other means, and when the courts finally provided an opening, modern voter suppression laws rushed in to fill the void. The VRA of 1965 did not end the struggle for black political equality. It reoriented the terrain on which that struggle continues to be fought. Thank you.